What are some psychological life hacks you can do to give you an advantage in situations? When a group of people laugh, people will instinctively look at the person they feel closest to in that group. Read, wanna know who wants to bone who? Look at who they look at when everyone laughs. If you ask someone a question and they only partially answer, just wait. If you stay silent and keep eye contact, they will usually continue talking. My boss does this. Making excuses for being late was brutal. Me, I'm sorry I'm late. Car trouble, silence, and terrible traffic, silence. I overslept, silence. I'll work late tonight. Boss, I own you. If you get yourself to be really happy and excited to see other people, they will react the same to you. It doesn't always happen the first time, but it will definitely happen next time. The moment your alarm wakes you up, immediately react by sitting up, pump your fists, and shout yeah at it. Yes, I do this, you should too. I learned this on here a few years ago, for anyone in customer service or works for many different situations. But CS is a big one. Put a mirror behind you at the counter. This way angry customers who approach you will have to see themselves in the mirror behind you, and the chances of them behaving irrationally lowers significantly. No one wants to see themselves act like a d-head. This is one of the reasons why many bars install large mirrors behind them. The main reason is so the bartender can see who is where and if any new customers approach at all times. But there are other reasons as well. If you're ever tending bar and a customer approaches you directly and starts getting upset or angry, just take a deep breath and step slightly to either side and lean on the bar using either your right or left elbow only. If you move your head out of the way just fast enough to break eye contact, they will be briefly forced to stare at themselves. Even if you don't move fast enough, peripheral vision always seems to notice that familiar face. Also, leaning in puts you in a position of power for quite a few reasons. Only the proudest of assholes are immune. Chew gum when you're approaching a situation that would make you nervous, like public speaking or bungee jumping. I can't remember where I heard it, but apparently if we are eating something and our brains trip, and it reasons I would not be eating if I were in danger. So I'm not in danger has helped calm me a few times. Pay attention to people's feet. If you approach two people in the middle of a conversation, and they only turn their torsos and not their feet, they don't want you to join in the conversation. Similarly, if you are in a conversation with a coworker who you think is paying attention to you and their torso is turned towards you but their feet are facing in another direction, they want the conversation to end. You should check out Carol Kinsey-Gauman's research on these types of things in the workplace. Foot in the door phenomenon. People are more likely to agree to do a task for you if you ask them to do something simpler first. When you first meet people, try to notice their eye color while also smiling at them. It might be because you look for a second or two longer, but all I can tell you is that people really respond to it. The physical effects of stress, increased breathing rate, heart rate, etc., mirror identically the physical effects of courage. So when you're feeling stress from any situation, immediately reframe it. Your body is getting ready to do courage. It's not feeling stress. For interviews, I recommend altering your psychological state beforehand. Tell yourself, I've known these people all my life. We're old friends catching up. I can't wait to see them. Visualize the experience, shaking hands, making eye contact, having conversation. What things you can't wait to tell them. Hold an open pose. Stand with your legs apart, hands on your hips, and shoulders back while doing this, and smile. This may sound cliche, but you are in charge of your own psychological state, and the power of suggestion is strong. After a person breaks up with someone, they are at their most vulnerable state for manipulation because of the flood of emotions. This could be used for the good or evil purposes. False attribution of arousal. When you take somebody out on a first date, take them somewhere exciting that will get their heart beating like roller coaster or horror film. This gets their adrenaline up. It makes them think they enjoy spending time with you rather than the activity. In sales, though I guess it could be applied in other ways, once you make the sales pitch, don't say anything else. My boss at an old job was training me and just giving me pointers. I was working at a gym trying to sell memberships. He told me that once I got all the small talk out of the way and presented the prices, that the first person to talk will lose. It didn't seem like a big deal, but it actually worked. Often there were long periods of awkward silence as the person tried to come up with some excuse, but usually they bought. It was quite impressive actually. People will remember not what you said but how you made them feel. Also, most people like talking about themselves, so ask lots of questions about them. Edit. There's been some really good advice in this thread that refines ask about them quite a bit. That would be good to incorporate. Stuff like get them talking on a general topic, movies, music, Ask them what movies, music, whatever it was they like. Engage them on that and go from there. Offer bits of information about yourself, then bounce it back to them. The snowboarding suggestion elsewhere in this thread, that was a really good one. Watch out for social cues that it's pissing the person off. They might be one of the people who really don't like talking about themselves, and if you notice those cues, stop. Your goal is to make them feel good via engaging them on their most cherished subjects, themselves, and the things they like the most. Also, this technique is really good for various situations that might otherwise be awkward. For example, when you are trying to draw out a reserved person, how do you do that? Show an interest in them, a genuine one ideally, and go from there. Someone you want to know better in that special boy-girl way. Asking about them is often a really good approach. Trying to get someone to like you in a situation with a power differential, in a workplace setting or a job interview. Get them talking, ideally about something work-related that makes them feel competent. They will remember how good they felt in your presence, and that will color their perception of you. You're not aiming to be the audience to a monologue. You're trying to find ways in which you can connect with that other person. The ultimate goal is to connect. If you're in a group meeting and you suspect that someone in there might come after you about something, sit right next to them. They were hoping that the group would provide some sort of herd defense, but if you're right next to them, it can't be anything other than personal. This tends to make them back off, or at least substantially temper what they say. Source: had a job with a huge target painted on my back for years. I remember the last time this thread showed up. Someone posted that if you ask someone to do you a small favor, cognitive dissonance will make them believe that because they did that favor they therefore must like you. After all, why would they help someone they disliked? I don't have a source, unfortunately, but I believe the original comment did. If anyone can find the previous thread. You are in control of your emotions and thoughts. Try replacing some immediate responses. Tell yourself you're happy about something, or you're excited. Eventually your brain will end up believing it. That's the same for being down, and that's why you should never try to diagnose yourself. Saying you're depressed or have social anxiety would end up with you being more anxious and more depressed. You won't notice it at first, but over a few months it will have a pretty noticeable effect on your personality. Edit: I meant feeling depressed, not being depressed. Also, it depends on the scenario, as a lot of things are out of our control. The best one I ever heard was, apparently, if you have a warm hand when you shake somebody's hand, you immediately become a more desirable person to get along with. Stand up straight, no slouching, hands out of pockets, and head held up high. It's not just a cliche. You literally feel better and people around you feel more confident in you. Not always a must, but try to dress well for important occasions including interviews. If you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you'll do good. In a negotiation setting, always start by anchoring, meaning start on a more radical extreme end of what you expect to get. That way, you and the other side can work to that result, rather than you locking yourself out of it. Avoid saying "I think" and "I believe" unless absolutely necessary. These are phrases that do not evoke confidence and will literally do you no good. When playing a game of cards with casual players, mutter to yourself the exact opposite of what you want to happen. So if you want your opponent to fold, then mutter, "Please don't fold, please don't fold." An overwhelming amount of times, the opponent will fall for the bait. When feeling anxious, clean up your house or apartment. You will feel happier and more accomplished than before. From an academic standpoint, this is mostly just armchair psychology, but from a real-world standpoint, these have all worked very well in my personal and professional lives. If you make the biggest smile you can, you will automatically feel happier. Call center workers, smile a lot. It will come through to the person on the other end of the line, and less people will be assholes to you. Refer to people you've just met by their name. People love being referred to by their name, and it will establish a sense of trust and friendship right away. Say your friend introduced you to Peter. After 5 minutes he decides to leave. Don't just say bye, but instead say, "Bye Peter." Make it a practice to get rid of filler words and phrases such as like, you know, etc. Instead use short pauses to gather your thoughts before speaking, though avoid Shatner-style pauses. Using filler words keys whoever you're talking to that you are thinking about what you're saying. Leaving them out makes these thinking spots less noticeable, since you aren't essentially announcing to the world that you are thinking, and makes you seem more sure of yourself. Thanks for watching. Share your psychological tricks and life hacks in the comments down below. See you in the next video.